is mind from the point of view of fire? Simply, mind is a form of fire. It has all the qualities that we've mentioned before. Dynamism, it consumes, it needs to be fed, it illumines, it produces heat sometimes it produces light. So simply then, we want to just acknowledge that our mind is fire. That's its very substance. And generally, it's working in that way, in the respect of, when we remember learning how to meditate, then to train the mind is difficult for most people for a long time. It's quixotic, it moves around, it has that dynamism to it. That's its very nature, of course. It is an animal of activity, if you will, just like fire is. So all the qualities that we've mentioned about fire are the qualities in our mind and of its very nature. So knowing that the mind is fire, sometimes it helps us with how some thought processes are consuming us, positive ones as well as negative ones. How our mind, yes, sometimes is not very quiet, it is very active, or quixotic, or spontaneous. Equally so, just like being on rapport with the fire in the fireplace or at a fire circle, there can be tremendous peace in the mind, illumination in the mind, and we can experience that peace as well. Our astrality has many component parts. Those are only some of them: emotions, passions, excitability, reaction/response. Sentiency overall is a word that I tend to use for astrality. The word astrality is up here because of the subsidiary words underneath it. When we look, though, at this list of words, emotions have their own heat, coolness, warm, cool, or hot. Passions, equally so. When our passions are engaged and we get motivated, we might aspire, we might, move whole mountains to accomplish a task because our passions are up. So passions are very motivating, and they tend to be hot. They also tend to consume. They consume people around us, especially if it's a negative passion, such as addictions become. Passions can be repulsive to some people. Many of us on the spiritual path, we don't have relationships with some of the people that we had 20 years ago because our path has consumed us in the way that it has. It has consumed in a fiery way that which required some refinement or some change, and so we have changed. And that which we are about and that which interests us, etc., might not be the same as it was 20 years ago, and therefore friends that we had 20 years ago, or even life partners that we had 20 years ago, might have also, that cadre might need to change. Heart is the foundation of Agni Yoga. What is in Agni Yoga then? What is in fire that is the foundation of the heart? Making those associations about fire, helping us to understand more about ourselves as beings of fire, so that as we talk about the heart, we can understand what the heart actually is, how the heart is the alchemizing, catalyzing agent in our personal psychospiritual processes, how and why the heart and the person who is heart chakra centered is a catalyzing agent in their environments, how a person who pours out the emanations of the heart can and does changes things all around them. So it is by understanding the nature of fire that then we might understand a little bit more factually, truthfully about the heart and its power. These are qualities that were on your list yesterday. Then we also have qualities of fire. The first and foremost is heart. Heart warms, heart opens, heart glows, heart is a spark, heart is a flame. Heart is all kinds of words that can be spoken of that are fiery words. Heart is also an ocean, and there is the ocean of compassion. Heart is the sky. Heart is empty. Heart is void. Heart is compassion, dispassion. All of our higher refined passions are in the petals of the heart chakra. So when we do really look at the heart, in addition to the oceanic nature of the heart, we have its fiery nature. Daring, I think the daring, we would all agree, is fiery by its nature as well. It, being an edge, is like how the tongues of flame rise up and lap into the air, into the emptiness of air, and dare to reach, dare to go, dare to be, and that's daring. Illumination is a result of fire. It doesn't seem, if we just stay with the metaphors, that it's a result of the ocean of compassion per se. Understanding would be more in line with the ocean of compassion as opposed to illumination, producing understanding and right knowing, deep Buddhic right knowing. Ethical or just living. Well, that would mean, for the most part, that we would be not doing the norm that most people are doing. So we would be fiery in that regard then. We would stand out. We would stand apart. Again, if we go back to the example of however many years ago that some of us might have had friends that we still don't hang around with, even life partners we don't still hang around with, that it's because of the fiery nature of our just living, if you will. So on an ethical basis, we can see as well that fire and ethics do have a relation. The teacher is generally fire in our life. That can be from the point of view of we are excited or we are devoted or enwrapped. Our passions are engaged by our teacher. If we are in that kind of sparked, loving, we are receiving something of value from the teacher. And so our passions are sparked, our devotion is sparked, etc. The teacher generally holds the position of the fire. Also from the point of view of illumining, the teacher's role is to illumine, to offer, and to offer the fuel for our illumination. So to offer seed thought or meditation or to point out through instruction things that will illumine our way. But of course, the best teachers tend to give information or give practices that the student has to take and use on their own, so that we do illumine our own way. We learn through the fires of utilization, of trying it, of daring. Hierarchy is a bright, warm center within the totality of consciousness of the planet, and I'm sure you all have your relationship or your meditative awarenesses of hierarchy. My guess is that in general everyone would kind of nod with the idea of warm and bright, and that is because the members of hierarchy are, of course, they have ignited and released, are constantly releasing their fire through their service, through their understanding. They're releasing their fire into the worlds of form as well as into the higher worlds, and are fed by both as well. So in that regard, like fire needs to be fed, hierarchy as a whole also is fed. It is fed by the relationship to form and all the realms of form and all the kingdoms in form, and it is fed by its relationship to the more subtle realms and the more subtle beings. Cosmic interconnectedness has to do with the cosmic currents like plasma or like Fohat. Cosmic currents are possible because of Fohat. The Fohat is the one essential fire. Your plasma probably is a few steps down from Fohat. And lastly, the energy sciences. Well, energy is itself fire, various presentations of it, gradations of it. And the science is the illumination and the recognition of what to do with all those energies. And so, again, we see fire as underpinning and underlying these things. And of course, I would commend the expression list to your own thought processes as to how fire plays out and plays through these various expressions.